Okay, part 4. John chapter 10 verse 1 to 10. Most assuredly I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door but climbs up in some other way, the same is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice. And he calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. And when he brings out his own sheep, he goes before them. And the sheep follow him, for they know his voice. Yet they will by no means follow a stranger, but will flee from him, for they do not know the voice of strangers. Okay, so the Lord is our shepherd and we are his sheep. The sheep is the most vulnerable animal in the world. It only depends on the shepherd. So, ganun ka-importante, ganun ka-crucial ang voice ng shepherd sa sheep. And sabi dyan, he calls his own sheep by name. And my sheep knows my voice. And my sheep will never follow the voice of strangers. In fact, they will flee away from strangers. And so, how does God leads us in this journey of life? He leads us by his voice. And so, I would like to give you 3 important tips how we hear. And what are the voices we hear? Number 1, the voices we hear, there are 3. First is our subconscious mind, and that is our silent reasoning voice. We use that, example, nag-exam ka, nakaupo ka sa table, and then you are asking yourself, and yourself is answering based sa question na sinasagot mo. And ito yung nagre-reason out habang bibig natin ay nakasarado, nag-iisip. And we can hear a voice, that's why nagre-reply tayo. And yun yung ating tinatawag na subconscious mind. And that is us, our voice. And next is the strange voice. Yung strange voice, ang motive, ang goal niyan is doubt, fear. Ang source at ang pupuntahan niyan ay discouragement. Walang iba kundi the devil ang source niyan. And so, may purpose yan, may motive yan, strange voices. To discourage you, to stop you, to put fear in you. And last of all, yung tinatawag na the still small voice of God. Yan yung tinatawag nating the voice of God in the inner man. And so, lagi nyo lang tandaan yan, sa buhay natin, lagi nating na-experience yan. Sabi ng Bible, my sheep does not recognize. Although they hear, alam nila mayroong mga strange voice. They flee away, they run away kasi strange sa kanila yung ayaw nila ng mga ganon. Sana ganon ang mga sheep ng Panginoon ngayon. Wala sanang nagbo-backslide, wala sanang naliligaw ng landas. Kung lahat ng mga Christian marunong makinig at marunong mag-obey sa voice ni Lord. And so, I remember, mayroong isang man of God noong unang panahon, he told me, and he said, we do not need many seminar today. We only need the voice of God. So, nagulat ako, I was shocked. Because I was saying him, may seminar na naman ganito, darating sa Bacolod, and that's what he told me. And because of that, I realized, the nature of God. Kung mayroon kayong notes dyan, isulat nyo, the nature of God does not compete with many voices. Ayaw niyang nakikipag-compete, gusto niya siya lang ang pinapakinggan. The Holy Spirit is like a dove. He does not raise His voice. The Holy Spirit is the one na nagko-convict sa atin, di ba? So, He's gentle. He does not compete with many voices. So, He's a gentleman. Kung ayaw mo, di wag. But if you heed to His voice, you will find that there's life in His voice. Next, the nature of the voice of God is supreme. It is good to listen to many advices, but His voice stands out with authority. When advices run contrary to His plan and direction in your life, okay lang makinig ng mga advices, ng mga preaching at kung ano regarding our life. But yung mga advices na yon nagkogiging kung contrary na sa plan ni Lord sa life mo, magre-react talaga ang voice ni Lord at mag-rise up, mag-stand up supreme. And so, yan yung sabi sa Isaiah that you will hear a voice behind you saying, do not turn to the right or to the, whether you turn or to the right or to the left, you will hear a voice telling you this is the way, walk in it. Sabi niya ganon. May kasabihan, sabi na you can get lost while holding a map, but surely you can reach your destiny when you are listening to His voice. So, how to hear the voice of God? Tips. Number 1, tune your heart to the Lord. So, be sensitive to the Holy Spirit. So, kailangan maging sensitive tayo sa Holy Spirit. Number 2, increase the volume of faith. Decrease the volume of your mind. That is number 2. So, increase mo yung volume ng pananampalataya mo. And because when God reveals a lot of things to us, sometimes it is beyond our human beliefs, human ability. So, we tend to limit God. Ito lang ang kaya ko, and then we incorporate that na God can only speak to me in the things in my level na kaya ko lang. No. So, raise up the volume of faith and decrease the volume of your mind. So, number 3, do not struggle. It should come smoothly. Marami Christian nag-struggle as if it's very hard for God to speak. In fact, it is us who is very hard to hear. But if you are a sheep of God, one of the things that He opened in your life is to hear Him. You deserve it. Kasi anak ka niya, tupa ka niya, tinanggap mo siya, narinig mo siya, in fact, kaya binuksan mo ang puso mo at naging anak ka niya. Ngayon, you deserve to hear the Father's voice. Okay, so number 4 is come with reverence and humility. We usually inquire, we come to God and we become sensitive, we listen to His voice, we tune our hearts to Him, but we should come with reverence and humility. Huwag nating kalimutan yan kasi it deals with our character. Kapag sa character natin hindi tama, malaking chances baka strange voices yung marinig natin or baka rebuke ng Panginoon ang maririnig natin. Okay lang. Sabi nga, I would rather God to rebuke me than to ignore me. Okay, next is when you have these dynamics going on, practice and make this a daily habit, remembering that prayer is not only you talking but also God talking to you. Mas importante nga yun Sabi nga ng Ecclesiastes, when you come into the house of God, be careful to listen rather than to speak. Okay, so question. Sometimes if you haven't been hearing His voice lately, may mga Christian, parang hindi ko na siya naririnig. Naririnig ko na lang yung Hillsongs, naririnig ko na lang yung Bethel, ganito, ganyan. voice ni Lord, naririnig ko pa ba? Pag hindi mo na naririnig ang voice ni Lord, there should be questions you should be asking. Okay, so you should ask yourself, number one is, what was it the last that He spoke to me about? Ano yung mga last na sinabi ni Lord sa iyo? 2 years ago? Kakaya naman. Or last week or last month? No? You should ask yourself those questions. Ano ba yung huling sinabi niya sa akin? If you did not remember kung anong sinabi niya sa iyo, probably you have become too familiar. And you know, that familiarity breeds irreverence. Hindi mo na nga naalala, ibig sabihin hindi mo na binibigyan ng halaga. So, kaya nakakalimutan mo na lang. Pero unlike nung una, no, talagang when He speaks, tandang-tanda mo talaga kung yung sinabi niya. And talagang excited ka pa, tumatalon ka pa in obedience kasi narinig mo yung voice niya. But as the days go by, as the years go by, parang naging familiar ka na. And that breeds irreverent attitude and seeking the voice of God, no? And we don't hear. And the last time we heard, hindi na nga nag-register sa heart natin because of familiarity. The next question is, when you remember, the question is, did you obey? Inobey mo ba yung sinabi ng Diyos? Kasi in my experience, when I do not hear the voice of God, most probably yung mga last instructions o word niya na sinabi sa akin, I failed to obey. And one of His way to discipline me is, He never speaks until I get it right. And so, yun talaga ang importante. Don't take it lightly. Okay, so hanggang dito na lang muna. May chapter 5 pa tayo. I would like to share yung love slave, kung bakit tong time ni Moses, pag bumili ka ng slave, pinalaya mo na. Anong meron sa master, napakabuting master na yung slave, magbo-volunteer for life na maging slave at bubutasan yung tenga niya. God bless you po.